pop quiz? Nobody can remember? I don't see any answers in the chat. So in Nigerian universities, when we have these kinds of challenges and people don't remember, we ask them to come back and retake the course. So are we going to have to do that to you all? I'm not getting any feedback. Nobody's liking this line of questioning, obviously. Ladies and gentlemen, you're all very quiet all of a sudden. No one wants to share or try the 3 stages of human-centered design. Okay, at least someone should remember one. Nobandile? Nobandile? Itumeleng? Tabo?
Addressing pain points and brainstorming solutions.
Okay, thank you. Addressing pain points and brainstorming solutions. That's within the phase 2, which we call the ideation phase, right? Remember?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, great. Thank you for that. So we have 3 phases or 3 stages in human-centered design. The first stage was the inspiration stage. The second stage is the ideation stage. And today we're going to go into the 3rd stage, which is the implementation stage. So they're all eyes. So please try and keep that in mind. So when we finish today, you have that implanted in your head. So when you're thinking about HCD product design, you know that there's ideation, there's inspiration, ideation, and then implementation. So welcome to day 4. Before we start, I'll just sort of take us through a recap of what we've done today. And we've already started doing that. And then we'll talk about the prototypes that you went back to develop. And I hope that given the time that we had, you've had time to sort of explore and expand and really design your prototypes. And then we'll start to talk about implementation and then the theory of change. We'll take our usual 10-minute break and then talk about other evaluation methods before we wind down on the entire program. Emmanuel, can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. Before we wind down on the entire program. And then hopefully, please, as we're speaking and as we're going along, please try and reflect on what we've been learning over the last couple of weeks, because this is the end of the program. So any questions you might have to ask, it would be important that you do that. You sort of write them down today. And write them down and then also just discuss them at the end of the session. So again, Itumeleng started us by reminding us that we have pain points, right? So what exactly is a customer pain point? How would you describe a customer pain point in your own words? Anybody? This is just a reminder quiz to set us back, to bring us back into the space that we're in, because as you know, when we're learning like this, we're all doing different things. So it's always nice to sort of come back into this space, come back into this world, so we get the best and the most benefit of of the time and the learning that we're here to do. So who can remember what's a pain point? Or give me an example of a customer pain point that we discussed in the last session, because that was when we listed some pain points and then we went into brainstorming. Anybody?
So thank you. Customer pain points are like specific problems faced by the customer in the marketplace. That is to say, including any problems that the customer may come across during or experience during the customer journey.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Nobandili. And one of the ways I describe pain points is for women. I don't know how many of women, every now and then you see some amazing pair of shoes, you love them and you buy them, but they're not so comfortable, right? So we all have these pinching shoes. It's either they're pinching at the corn, they're pinching at the heel or something or the other. So I think of a pain point in that way when you wear these uncomfortable shoes. Okay. Then the last session as well, we talked about behavioral economics and the role behavioral economics can help us play in our product design. So can anyone remember what, we talked about nudges. I don't know if you remember the picture of going to the gym, and you had everybody going into the gym and they were using the elevator when there were stairs there. And then we showed another picture later on of some nudges that they had painted on the stairs. Does anyone remember them and how they can help you in your line of work? Anybody? Anybody?
And not just something that propels you to move or like propels you to act in a certain way. That's
Great.
That's what I remember. Yeah.
Great, thank you. We had nudges that propel you to move or act in a certain way, and they're sort of incremental steps. And we talked about different types of behavioral nudges that we can put into our products. For example, in communication, we talked about the opt-in, we talked about the intentions, etc. So these are just the ways that we want to continue using all our learnings and all the things that we're talking about in these sessions and all the activities we're doing. But then outside of these sessions, we're going to sort of have to do them on our own. And the whole idea of this is, how do we ensure that we're well equipped to do them on our own? So now we're going to look at our prototypes, correct? So Ibukun, what are we're going to want to look at some of the prototypes. How do you want to do this? We asked them to take pictures, right?
Yes. So apparently some people are supposed to have it. Since we're all supposed to have submitted, people are supposed to have it on their laptops, on their computers. So it's something that they can share with us.
Okay, so who is going to be the first to share their prototypes? I'll stop sharing my screen now. And then who is ready to share their prototype? We don't have to take all of them, just one or two, just to give us an idea as to one from each of the organizations, one from Lesotho and one from PSCCS, just to give us an idea of how you're thinking or how you're viewing or how you're conceptualizing, ideating your product. Abby, are you going to share your screen? Anybody? Emmanuel and Ibukun, you were group leads. Do you want to pick someone from your groups?
I can share mine.
Okay, great, Thabo.
Okay.
Fantastic. You want to walk us through?
Right?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So for purposes of my prototype, where the customer will input their fields I've written it in red, and then they go through various screens till they get the solution, right? So they first start by downloading the app. They get a welcome message to say, welcome to Letshego, log in with your mobile number and password. Where they don't have a password, not yet a customer. So then they select not yet a customer because they are not yet a customer. As soon as they select that, they're taken to the next screen where now they input their KYC. The first message, your personal details, they go names, say John Doe, gender male, nationality, Lesotho, translator, single, ID number, blah, blah, and then they submit. Then the next stage, they input their, then it goes like, please input your residential details. They then go by, they then start by inputting their physical address, street, cities, country, the district or province, and then the postal code. Submit. Then please input your contact details. They input the cell phone number, their email address, and then they select the preferred method the preferred password. And then they verify the password. Then they submit. Subsequent thereto, please verify your details. They input their or after they have submitted, given now that we want to verify their contact details, we will then send them an OTP, both through the SMS detail as well as email. So then it will be the same OTP that goes out. They then come back to input the OTP and then submit. Then they get a succeeded message to say verification has been successful. Then it's done. That's the first step of the process. Then they come back into that app where now they want to avail of our solutions. So as they now open their app, they'll still get the first the message on the first screen to say welcome to Letshego. Log in with your mobile number. So now that they have a mobile, they've got their login credentials, they'll input their mobile number as well as a password. So then they are in. Welcome, John Doe. Please select the product below. So now on offer, we've got loans, insurance, deposits, and payments. Now they select loans. After selecting loans, please select the loan type below. They go into the next screen. They see a bouquet of products on offer. Loans on offer: personal loan, instant loan, working capital, auto finance, motor vehicle loan, as well as housing finance. They select instant loan. Please fill or select. They start with the monthly income as well as the monthly expenses. And then as soon as they do that, the app will then auto calculate how much they qualify for. Now they then select an amount that they wish to apply for. They then select even the term of repayment. As soon as they do that, what then gets to be auto completed from our end will be the repayment amount, the fees amount, the interest that is payable as well. And then there'll be an accept button. So if they wish to change, they'll go back and then input other variables. But if they wish to, they see on their screen from a repayment perspective, they will accept that offer. Then they will also go to the next screen to select their preferred mode of repayment. If they wish to pay us back through bank, Letshego wallet, M-Pesa, or EquiCash. So in our instance, the customer chooses Letshego wallet and then submit. As soon as that they have done that. So for our purposes, that which they choose to pay us to be the preferred mode of. Yes, Nat.
Hello.
Don't worry, I've muted Pule.
Okay.
I think it was on another conversation. Please go ahead.
Okay, thanks. So for our purposes, the preferred mode of repayment also translates into the preferred mode of the disbursement channel. So for our purposes, the customer selects Letshego wallet, and then as soon as they submit, congratulations, your application has been successful. Funds will reflect in your wallet within 2 minutes, and then they close. Then within 2 minutes, they get the amount disbursed into the Letshego wallet. That's the prototype that I wish to share with the team today.
Great, thank you so much, Thabo. So any questions for Thabo before we let him go? Well done, and thank you very much. Very detailed and well thought through. Any questions? No questions? I think we're still waking up this morning, so we'll give you a little time to warm up. But Thabo, I have a few questions on this product, on this sequencing. Who is your target customer for this product?
So our target customer is a lady that's selling the fruits on the street. So from the initial stages of our customer profiling, we had said it's a single mother, a single lady who's pretty much far from the normal financial service providers. They're a bit remote. They're running a little shop where they're selling small items. So we had pretty much got into details of defining them to be a single, supporting their families, and will be in need of an instant loan to just fund the business. Yes.
Okay, so that's my first question. Thank you for that. My second question is about how long will this process take?
So when you look at it in terms of the fact that we've put everything in the customer's hands, we're looking at a 10-minute max type of solution delivery. Because then,
Okay.
so for instance, they populate, we want to get to know them first. From a KYC perspective, they input their details. So those details stay there. So for any time they want to avail of solutions, as soon as they log in, if you've seen, they get a welcome message and their KYC detail auto-populates. So then from a solution, from a solution perspective, they get to avail of a solution within minutes because they no longer have to go through the stages of inputting anything. Theirs is now to choose a solution, get through the solution variables, and then they get the solution in hand. And if you say we want to disburse within 2 minutes, because then we've got back end processes supporting the customer journey.
Okay. So my question is also relating to thinking about the customer and the education level, and because the KYC questions can also lead to an easy way of people giving up or resigning from completing the process. So again, just from a behavioral issue, because I don't know about some of us, when there's too many questions around a product or a service, we just abandon it and say, I'll come back to it later, and we don't even bother. So this might be something you need to be mindful of, that, okay, are there any ways or nudges that we can put in there? For example, as you're going step to step, oh, this is step 1, right? Oh, well done, you've done step 2, a few more to go, because that also gives people the encouragement to say they want to continue and actually get on with it. Because when I start and I've done, like, let's say 2 or 3 pages, and I don't know when I'm going to end or when it's going to end, and let's assume that this same person is also minding her business and attending to customers. So how does she, again, can she save it? Can she come back to it just in case she's not able to finish it in that 10-minute instance? So those are things that you should just think about based on how humans are interrupted in the course of doing things.
Well agreed. Well agreed, and I'm pretty much aligned. Even as you were talking, the KYC, information for us as we solution for customers' pain points is about creating the necessary linkages to say creating the partnerships that enable the customer journey and make it seamless. For instance, if we had an API into the Home Affairs office, ours would just be to request that they input the ID detail and then everything else auto-populates.
Exactly.
The one thing that I didn't think of, but thank you for the guidance. And I hope the team is also taking cue from the discussions.
Great. Well done, team. And I hope a lot of you have your own images and visuals, and go back again and just reflect. But well done, Pablo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have anybody from PCCSS? Anyone else willing to share? Guys, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just to sort of say, okay, how are we thinking? Okay. If we've got any thoughts to get people to stop being shy? Sorry?
I think Tebelo or Ifemeleng, one of them has a prototype.
Okay, Tebelo or Ifemeleng, would you like to share your prototype? Okay, I take that is a negative then.
Can I
no
try?
Problem. Okay, please do try, Tebelo. Please do. Great. The floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Okay. This is how deadlines from Phutalichaba can be able to access loans. For Phutalichaba, since it is a savings and credit, only the members are able to get access to loans. So it says for you to have to apply for a loan, you must be a registered member, and as a registered member, you must have your login details into your own account within our system. So that would mean for the first thing you do, you'll have to log into your account, and then when you log into your account, you'll find the logs. After putting your usernames and password, then you'll be able to find the home screen. Then there are various services within the home screen. Then you will choose the loan page and click on the booster loan. And then after clicking on the use booster loan, you'll be able to put in the amount you want to, the amount you are willing to take loan. And then for us, we are able to tell you the amount of the loan you qualify for is based on how much savings you have. So after you put in the amount and you put the period, because for now we are only having a we have short-term period. I mean, we have short-term loans for the period of 12 months. That means however you want to repay your loan must be within that period. So if you put in, maybe let's say you put 8 months, and then having the amount and then the tenure or the period will allow us then to calculate the equal installment you are going to pay. We will be the formula for calculation of the interest and all other fees will depend on the amount and the period. Then you apply. Then after you apply, if you qualify, it will not allow you to go further. But then if you qualify, then it will show you the payment schedule. This payment schedule is a kind of a loan amortization schedule that will show you that for the amount that you want to apply, that you have applied for, and for that period, if we put our interest and our other charges like service fee and insurance, and then you will pay the equal amounts in this manner. It will show you from the first payment for the first month, second up to the 8th month, reducing the loan principal and showing all that calculations. Then sometimes you may find that maybe the installment is too high for you to afford. You might want to increase the period so that to lower the installment. But if you are satisfied, then you submit. Or if you are not satisfied, you can be able to edit, maybe reduce, increase the number of months you want to repay. Then after you have submitted, it will go through to the admin. Remember, the admin should be the office admin, and then the manager will approve, and then the credit committee will approve. Once that has been approved, then the loan will be sent to your bank account. That is the brief way I can explain it. Hello?
Great. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you so much, Tebelo. Any questions for Tebelo? I think, ladies and gentlemen, this is also our own time to interact with what we're seeing. Any questions for Thobela or comments or feedback? Okay, if there are none, anybody? Thobela, I have one or two. So what I'm asking is, in the first instance, you mentioned that they put in what they would like to say, what they would like to borrow, and then you tell them later on what they're eligible to, right?
And then I tell them later on to what?
What they're eligible for based on their savings, right?
Yes.
Can we flip it? Can you know, when I sign on, can you tell me headline what I'm eligible for? So I'm not going to ask for something that I don't have access to. And again, take away the disappointment that, oh, I wanted 10,000, you can only give me 2,000. So I know upfront what I'm entitled to.
Or okay.
Yeah.
I think that,
Okay.
yeah, that is possible, because that can be linked to your savings. Since you qualify based on how much your savings, then
Exactly.
that can be linked to your savings account. That means whatever the amount you qualify for can be up to can be up to an amount based on the savings, so that you know exactly when you log in or before you even apply, you know you qualify to SA. I think that can be possible.
Exactly. Okay, thank you. Then the second is the insurance, right? What type of insurance? Because again, you're assuming that your customers, your prospective customers, know what type of insurance you're talking about.
Yes, they know. Since it's a
Okay.
cooperative,
Okay.
the members are the owners of the cooperative. So
Okay.
everything regarding the charges, the user fees, and everything, it is in
They
our
know.
cooperative's policy, which they have access
Okay.
to. Yes.
Okay, great. Then the other thing I wanted to suggest is an interface, is a user interface issue. You know, when you're talking about the amount and when you're calculating the loan payback, the loan repayments, right? And you
Yes.
said, oh, they can, you know, they can, depending on the amount, you do the amounts based on all the fees, and then they submit, and then you can tell them, and then they can come back and change the number of months or the duration, depending on if they want to sort of reduce their payments or increase their payments on a monthly basis. Another idea of doing that is using a slider. So the slider would tell you, let's say you have between 1 month and 12 months. And then as they move, they can, rather than going back and forth between screens.
Okay.
Yeah, so they stay on one screen, and then they can decide on which duration works best for them for that loan amount. And then they can, before they submit. Because sometimes that could be a very iterative process.
No, I understand.
Yes, great. Any other questions for Thobela? Thank you so much, Thobela.
Thank you, my pleasure. And thank you for the comments. I think they are very important.
Great. Okay, Pule has a question for you. Go ahead, Pule.
Oh, actually, it wasn't a question. It was just to maybe add a few things concerning your question. On are we able to show? I believe it said something like, are we able to show someone the amount that they qualify for?
Yes.
So it's if you can see down there where it says the terms and conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So the terms and conditions would outline those particular details. It's true that from their own from their account, they can see how much they have saved so far, and the terms and conditions, which will be the same for everyone. They'll tell you that you can only borrow as much as 3 times or this many times your monthly savings. So when they tick on, I agree to the terms and the conditions, and everything concerning the interest. That's what the terms and conditions are there for.
Okay.
Then when they tick that, that's when the application will go through. Unless they tick that box and they have read those terms and conditions, it will not go through.
Okay, thank you for
Thank
that,
you.
Phule. Thank you so much.
Thank
So that's also the clarification. But you know, sometimes, Phule, I don't know about you, when we're signing, when we want something, we don't read the fine print. But then again, let's.
Oh,
All right, good.
yes.
Thank you, Tebelo. Thank you, Phule. Okay, can you put?
Thank
Can
you
you
very
stop
much.
sharing now so we can continue? Great, thank you. So we're going to continue our conversation around implementation, and I hope you all enjoyed the view of the prototype because it's part of our learning process in that sense. So we've done the review of our prototypes, and now we're going to go into phase 3 of our HCD process, which we call implementation. So as we said, we have 3 I's in our phases. The first is inspiration, the second ideation, and the third implementation. So just keep telling yourself 3 I's, 3 I's, 3 I's, and you'll remember it sooner rather than later. So what we want to talk about is, and this is where we're coming from, we know the problem we want to address, right? So we know we're inspired, we know the problem, we've spoken to our customers, we've done our customer research, we've put it all into we've identified the opportunity. So we have that inspiration. Then we now have a solution that we want to work with, which is the ideation, the prototyping, and then we build it. And so when we build it, the next thing we want to know is that, how do we know it's working? How do we know it's solving the problems that we wanted it to solve? How do we know it's actually doing what we wanted it to do and it's reaching or having the impact? So when we talk about evaluating and optimizing your solution, what we're sharing with you here today are going to be tools that you're going to use in the marketplace, in the process of managing your product to evaluate and optimize your solutions. We're going to talk about the theory of change, and we're going to talk about RCTs as well. But before we get there, let's just sort of understand. So we need data, right? Internal data and customer research to understand the performance, right? We need to align periodic review cycles. So are we going to look, when you think about the loan product and the KYC, for example, let's say the first product that we looked at, and it was introduced as, okay, put in your manual KYC. And then we begin to observe, oh, how many people finished the process, how many people started but didn't complete. And that gives us feedback, right? Then we can go back and go into and say, okay, how do we make this a bit more optimal and easier for the users? And then, oh, can we get an API solution that you put in your ID number and it goes through? So those are the kinds of ways that we need to think around our solution, knowing that as customers evolve, as trends come up, we're also going to need to evolve our solution. So we look at the process, we look at, does the solution work as it's intended to? The second is a bit deeper. It's beyond the process, right? So what you're doing, you're enhancing lives, you're transforming lives. So we need to look at the magnitude of the impact. Did it achieve the goals that we set out to do? Or did we just start something and it didn't really achieve the goals that we wanted it to do? So when we're giving a loan, the loan was supposed to enhance somebody's business, grow someone's business. Did it do that? The next thing is that, is it cost effective? Is it a cost effective solution? So given the cost, the amount of money that we're spending and the impact, does it compare? Is it good value for money? Or do we need to think about how to optimize it to make it better value for money? And that's the way we think around evaluation and optimization. And how do we do this? We need, again, to continue collecting stories, continue collecting insights, continue checking, oh, what is going on? How is it working? Does it do what it's supposed to do, etc., etc. So we need to remember that it's a continuous process. It's not static. And as we continue to get this feedback, either formally or informally, we need to have notes and jot them down somewhere. And again, look at product improvements when we're going through the product improvement cycle. Another way to do this is by getting or having what we call, key performance indicators, right? Excuse me. So key performance indicators are measures of value that demonstrates how effective a solution is achieving its objectives. And these are quantifiable measures. So we need to look at what are the metrics that we can adhere to a product and that we can measure progress over time, use to identify areas of lag and analyze patterns as well. So I'll go back again to the example of the cooperative. So we can ask ourselves, if this product is so good and we have a cooperative 100,000 members, if only sort of, let's say 200 people have signed up, right? That gives us feedback. So again, if we're measuring how many people are signing up, or is there a period of time in which they're ready to sign up? So it might be, okay, let's say the cooperative is of farmers. Is there are they more inclined to sign up during the farming, the pre-planting season, when they're getting their land ready for inputs, etc., right? Or are they going to sign on when it's time to harvest? So how do we understand what's going on within the cycle? Identify areas of lag. If, for example, we have 100,000 and only 200 have signed on, how do we explain the difference? Because don't forget that in our projections, in our development of the solution, we assume that, let's say, 20% of the cooperative members will sign up to this product. And if we don't have that 20%, or we have just 1 or 2%, then it gives us an identity of lag, so an area of lag. So these are performance indicators that we can measure over time, and we continue paying attention to. So as we're looking at it incrementally, you're telling us, how many people, for example, when we look at the first application, it was how many people have downloaded the app. And those are statistics you can get when you're talking about the applications, right? Or how many people have viewed the website. Okay, when they went to the website, how many people actually started an application? So at every stage, it's nice to have those indicators to see, is this product really getting into the hands of the customer, or is it not? Or do we need to do more? So at this stage now, we're going to go into our groups and we're going to work on suitable KPIs for our products and tracking strategies. So as we go into your groups, the group leads will give you the worksheets that you're going to work with and the instructions that we're going to use to work. Any questions before we proceed? Okay, so this is a 20-minute activity. Ibukun, can we open the groups, please? Thank you. Are we opening the groups?
Okay, so we've all been broken into our respective breakout groups. If you've not gotten assigned to a breakout group, it's probably because you don't know if you belong to Letshego or Phutalichaba. So if you could kindly include that in your name to make it very straightforward and easier to do that.
Okay, we still have Abia. Abia, which group should I assign you to? Abia?
Sorry, I was on a B right back. Please assign me to the Lesotho group.
Okay, okay, great. All right, Rebecca, I'll assign you to Letshego. Brian, do you want to go into a group as well?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, I'll put you in Phutalichaba. Amaka, do you want to go into a group?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. and talk about, so we're going to continue now and talk about a concept that is very important to us in evaluating and monitoring our projects and our products. So this concept is called the theory of change, and it's a model that's used in the development communities around how do we measure the impact, or what is the impact of the products and services that we are delivering. And a lot of the time we get ourselves modeled up in terms of confusion between the outputs as well as outcomes and impacts. And sometimes when we also need to think about impact, we think about impact around the sustainable development goals in terms of, okay, which of the goals does it align with the 17 goals? So when we talk about a theory of change, it's a strategic tool that we use to design and evaluate social programs and really explore how the desired change is achieved.
Okay.
Timothy, can you mute yourself, please? Okay, how the desired change will be achieved. And because conceptually, when we do things, we're asking people to change the way they use products and services. We're asking your cooperative members to change how they've been doing things in a certain way. We're asking our employees and our team members to stop receiving loans on paper and start receiving them digitally, processing them, and then sending them to credit committee, the committee, etc. So really, we're really asking a lot of changes, but we need to ensure that these changes are giving us the desired impact that we want, that we set out to achieve. So it's really a mapping of the logical flow of how the supply program, in other words, the inputs, the resource, the activities, and then the products we generate will result in change for the beneficiaries. So when we were talking about the female informal worker, right? What type of change are we looking at for her life? And we said, oh, she's single. So assume she's a single parent working to give opportunities for her children. Then we can say, oh, is she able to provide education for her children? Is she able to hire somebody else for a business? Is she able to, and those are the types of changes that would impact her life. So your changes can either be at the household level, at the business level, but we need to think around change of the people that we're trying to work with and attract. So there are 4 components of a theory of change that we'll introduce you today. The input and the activities, all the things that we're doing, right? We're doing all these activities, creating new products and services to ensure, and then we're basically doing all these activities that we create products and services. And those products and services we're assuming or we're hoping will lead to some short-term intermediate outcomes in terms of how they use them, how they change their lives, how they use digital products, etc. That would have longer lasting impacts and program than the intermediate outcomes. So it's really a linear and logical flow. So we do certain activities, those activities produce some outputs, and then that output begins, usage of that output, interaction with that output has some intermediate outcomes. So when you're thinking about, for example, a maternal health program, you supply, let's say, maternal health education, then you're assuming one of the intermediate outcomes is that, oh, maybe more children will get vaccinated. One of the longer term outcomes is that, oh, child mortality rates will reduce, will improve, etc., etc. So those are the kinds of ways we need to think around the theory of change. So let's break down the components into what we have control over, and again, what we don't have control over, but we want to influence and continue to advocate for. So the first thing is the activities. These are the things that we do, right? How do we create our products? How do we implement? How do we launch them? How do we monitor and optimize them? And then we create outputs. And don't forget that in all these activities, we need resources to be able to enable us to do them. And those resources could be human resources, financial resources, digital resources, etc., right? Then we create outputs. Then the next thing is, again, we begin to lose control when we now have to answer that, and so what, right? So out of the program's control, what is the impact? What is the theory? What are the different hypotheses around change that we're embedding in this product? So, right? So when we're talking about the cooperative or the woman, is it an individual, or is it a group? Is it a group change that we're looking to address in that sense, right? So, but then what are the early telltale signs that this change is in the right direction, right? And then what are the final outcomes or the final developmental goals that we're using this product or this theory to address? And so when we think around that, so it just doesn't end with, oh, we've created a product, it's in the market, but okay, and so what? How is that product enhancing or changing lives and livelihoods in that sense? So, okay, great. So when we look at the theory of change, so let's take an example, right? So the example is that we have a vocational training activity. So let's assume we go to this female informal seller, right? And we want her to be able to manage her business better. So we take about 20,000 of these types of female informal sellers, and we give them some business enablement training or vocational training on bookkeeping, for example. And what we say, and the example here, I'm just refining the same example to our own case, our own customer segments. And what do we have? We have a woman that's a bit more astute in business practices, in bookkeeping, and can sort of manage her inflows and outflows better. So she has improved skills, right? So that's an intermediate outcome. And what does that mean for us, right? That could mean that, oh, she's able to negotiate better with her suppliers. So if she's able to negotiate better with her suppliers, that means she has more money and cash flow to improve and expand her business or invest in her business and improve her outputs and her productivity from the business side, okay? So that's one. And then based on that, she can grow her business, she can employ more people, or maybe open another branch, etc., etc. So in this case and this example, it's really about a vocational training. And if you think about unemployment in Africa today, especially given the fact that Africa has a very youthful population, but yet high levels of unemployment. We also know that in Africa, and these are macro things that we look at every day, we also know that in Africa, we have a lot of micro, small businesses that are the engine of the economy in general. So we've said, okay, how do we improve the employability of some of our youth, right? So we take them through a vocational training product. Let's say we train 20,000 students, so 20,000 students have been trained in certain vocational skills. The intermediate outcome is that they have better employability skills, and then they can get better jobs, and then we are addressing youth unemployment in that sense. Or sometimes, we are creating youth entrepreneurs, etc., etc. So that's the way we think around the theory of change, that it's not just the product as an end in itself, but it must have an after impact that also leads to some macro indicators that we want to work with. And a lot of the time, we're basing a lot of the theory around assumptions. So assumptions are, there is a demand for employability training, right? The employability training that we provide quality, and it's of the skill sets that are being sought in the workplace, right? And then, so that's also the skills that are being demanded by the work and by employers. And then basically new jobs do not displace existing jobs. So when we're talking about employability, we're also mindful that, we're also not taking away and we're creating another problem with the new jobs that we're creating. So this is what a theory of change looks like. And again, we're going to ask you to go back into your groups and really think around what is the theory of change for your own products and services, that the products that we're conceptualizing through this. And the worksheet you're going to use, again, a similar worksheet, okay? So what are the activities that we're doing? Identify those activities.
what is the output that we're creating from those activities, and then what are the intermediate outcomes. And as you're doing each of these, you're also noting down your assumptions, what are the intermediate outcomes, and then what is the final outcome. So I'm not going to try and give you any tips around this, because I really want us to think around us, think on our own. And again, think about it from your contextual perspective. Because again, what we're trying to say is that as two financial institutions, what are we addressing when we talk about addressing the lower income segments, and what is the change that we want to see in our lives? So you might also need to go back to your mission statements and say, what exactly are we doing as an organization? What is our social impact as an organization? And this is very important in the world we live in today, because we're also looking at organizations and getting organizations to think beyond the economic sector, the economic side of their business, but also have a social face, that also is managing, how do we look to our community? How do we look to our stakeholders? And what are the changes that for us being an organization, what are we doing beyond just making a profit? And then also the third layer is the issue of governance as well. So we need to be more conscious as organizations that we manage and balance the economic side of our work, the social side, as well as with good governance practices as well. So again, we're going to go into working groups, again, that everything working in groups. So we have another 20-minute sprint to do this, and then we'll come back, then we'll take a break. I think it seems we're doing good on time. We might also just go into the RCTs before we take our break, but we'll see. All right, so let's go back into our groups. If we don't have any questions, I always like to ask for questions before we go into our groups, just in case anything needs clarification. Any questions? Okay, it's either we're familiar with these concepts or we would interrogate it better when we have to do it. But just start thinking around your activities, start thinking around the products, start thinking about the intermediate outcomes, which are short to medium term, and then the longer term developmental outcomes. Okay, so if we could, Emmanuel, let's go back into our groups. Thank you. This is Letshego, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Please go ahead, Thabo.
So I have to say it was quite an interesting session for us, having to now look at the even the product rollout from a customer perspective in terms of what change we are looking for and the impact. So of course, from the activities that we have identified, we say for us, we assume first that it will be easy. There's already an existing customer base, that the MNO customer base, and it will be easy for us to plug into that and leverage their customer numbers. So we'll partner with them, and then we'll also engage in financial and market research to interview customers, have a sense of what they need, and you know, their pain points, and how they how best we can address them. So we, through that as well, we have a sense of their digital literacy, as well as the availability of devices on their hands.
Okay.
So okay, fine. We can give our customers instant loans, and we can even give them a digital mall through which they can have access to other solutions, such as even free of charge financial coaching and guidance, etc. So given the fact that our customer is
so Thabo, let me can we just run through this quickly? We need to go on a break, so
okay, cool.
we'll just run through this quickly. Yes, because
so
again, I
customer,
appreciate the amount of detail that goes into it and the amount of thinking. Yes, go ahead.
For the customer, immediate outcome will be the low cost of credit on their part, because they don't have to come through to us. It's easy to access our solutions. They're a small shop owner, so it results in low cost of capital for them. What they are looking at as business growth as well as profitability. Final outcome would be financial inclusion, improvement of livelihood, increased economic activity, which can even lead to unemployment alleviation.
Okay, great. So you're putting more money back into people's pockets generally, and you're hoping that that money that you're putting back in people's pockets would have an impact in their lives.
Essentially, yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Thabo. Thank you. Ibukun, are your group going to share quickly? Ibukun?
Pule
or
Pule, does anyone want to take a go at it?
Mr. Pule is gonna share like the screen.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Pule. Great, thank you. Okay, while your screen is coming up, you can start talking us through it, Mr. Pule. Okay, great. Are you there, Mr. Pule? Are you?
Okay,
Can we hear Mr.
do you want to go ahead? Do you want to, just talk us through?
Is he here? Mr. Pule, are you here? Or should I go ahead?
Itumele, why don't you just go ahead, please?
Okay, no problem. From our side, issue was that our issue was default in loan repayments. So our activity was Phutalichaba should hold financial literacy programs for customers or prospective customers. And the products that we decided to use in order to achieve this objective was we could have radio programs or radio interviews, have financial literacy courses on our website with quizzes and tests, or create partnerships with associations in order to be able to spread this message of financial literacy. So our desired objective or our final outcome was to have our loan default reduced by 70%. So our intermediate outcome was on having created this product in order to educate people on finance. Intermediate outcome was increased savings amount, new savers emerge, more interactions on digital and physical channels, more inquiries into our product. And our other intermediate outcome was we could get more loan applications and also increase value and volume of savings in the cooperative due to having set up this financial literacy products or financial literacy courses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Itumeleng. And Pule, don't worry about it. So I think we all get the flow. So the flow is that, see, we want to change people's behaviors regarding savings by providing them financial education, and that financial education will give them better safety nets and better ways to sort of spend their money on different things. Thank you very much both. And so we would now take a 10-minute break and would reconvene 5 past the hour. Okay, so we're on break now. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Prof. Thank you.